The first thing we will talk about is your service intervals. Your service intervals are released in blocks of 30-minute intervals. And so you can choose to work in 30-minute increments at a time, or you can also choose to work for hours at a time. It depends on you. But each blue block that you do see here represents a block of 30 minutes. As you see, it says 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock. These are all 30-minute increments. And if you do two blocks at a time, it will equal an hour. So as you see here, this is 2.5 hours. It's very easy to access Starmatic. I know a lot of you already know how to do this, but I still wanted to go over it. All you have to do is go into the Arise portal, click on Starmatic, which is going to be on the left-hand side of your client opportunities. And once you click on that, your summary schedule is going to pull up. Now, this is what your summary schedule will look like once you start servicing and you are servicing for a few weeks at a time. Okay, every single week you will be presented with the amount of hours that your client allots at a time. So, what will happen if you notice here on the week of, every single week, you will get a week's time of hours. So, for instance, this one says September the 6th. So, you will have a schedule to create from the 6th of September to the 12th of September. Then on the 13th, there will be a new schedule released. This is your week of. So that's the week that you actually get to schedule your hours. And when they do this, there is a release date. Your release date is different. Each client releases theirs on a particular day at a particular time. Some may do it on a Tuesday. Some may release theirs on a Friday. Some may release at 2 p.m. Others may release at 5 p.m. It depends on your client. Every week, around the same time, they usually release those hours. And when they do release the hours, they release the hours um, twice. Okay, so the first day that they release the hours is called the initial cap. And what the initial cap is the set amount of hours that they release at first so that everyone is able to select hours. Because if they release the maximum amount of hours that they do allow you to work, some people will be greedy and they will pick 50, 60, 70, 80 hours at a time, and it will leave other people with 10 hours, 15 hours, and then they'll be very upset because they're not getting any hours. So to keep the confrontation down, what they do is release a certain amount of hours and that they want you to work, which is your initial cap, and then the next day they release the maximum amount of hours that you can work, which is your maximum cap. This is called your cap lift date. So your release date is always released first, and then your cap lift date is released the following day. As you see here, the initial cap for this client is 30 hours for the week. And the maximum cap for this client is 58 hours for the week. So some clients are initial cap can be anywhere between 15 to 40 hours, depending on the client. And then some clients' maximum cap can be anywhere between 30 to 90 hours in a week. Like I said, it depends on the client. Whenever you see the blue arrow, that means the arrow means that it is time for you to go in and to access that schedule or to create that schedule. The yellow or gold, shall I say, arrow here means that it has not been released yet. Now, selecting your service intervals are very easy. The only thing you have to do is when you go into Starmatic, the whole screen will be filled with blue squares. Now, if the hours are not available, the squares will be grayed out. But all you have to do is check on all the little blue squares so that you can create your schedule. Once you click on all the squares that you want to click on, you're simply going to hit the submit button. Once you hit the submit button, the schedule will be created. So as you see here, the schedule is created, and this person is working Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. They get an hour break, and then they're working from like 3:30 in the afternoon to 6:30 in the evening. They are off on Sunday and they're off on Friday. So you will be able to make your schedule according to whenever is convenient for you. Some clients are open 24 hours, some are open 12 hours. It just really depends. But whatever hours that your clients is open, you will be able to schedule your hours around the opening and closing hours, and you'll be able to work anytime during their opening period that you would like to work. So if they're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., you can work anytime you want to in between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., as long as the hours are available and they're not grayed out. All right, and so let's talk about swapping and releasing your service intervals. Now, in order to adjust your work schedule, because you will create your schedule, but there may be things that happen to where you have to adjust it, which is totally fine. All you have to do is take the hours off that you've already chosen to service. You can release or swap these intervals, okay? But it does have to be in an appropriate time frame, because if you do it when the time frame is not right, you could be penalized, okay? Releasing hours is simply just deselecting the intervals. So the only thing you would do is click on the check marks, and then you would hit the submit button. It will give you the option to either swap or release those hours. Now, with releasing hours, you do have a time frame that you can release the hours without being penalized. And what that is 24 to 48 hours, depending on that client. Each client has a lockdown time, and their lockdown time is anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, which means you can release those hours within 24 to 48 hours without being penalized. If you release them anywhere before the 24 or 48-hour time frame, you could possibly be penalized. Swapping hours is basically just releasing them and waiting on someone else to select them, and you can do this up to 2 hours before your shift starts. So if your shift starts about 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 8 o'clock in the morning you want to release them, or swap them. Don't release them because you'll be penalized. If you want to swap them, you can swap them out. If you wait to 8:03, it's not going to let you swap it out. You're going to be stuck with those hours. Once the hours have been selected, then you will not be penalized for not working those hours. But if they have not been selected and you do not work those hours, it will be considered a no show. I'm going to give you a little bit of Starmatic terminology. It's real simple. I'm sure some of you already know this. The blue square represents your regular service intervals. That means that hours are available, but it's not urgent for you to work. The red square, that means urgent service requests due to a heavy call volume. So it's like a mandatory thing. If you have check marks in the red squares, it's like mandatory for you to work. You can still swap during this time, but it's really hard to get rid of the hours during this time. And please do not release or swap these hours unless it is absolutely necessary for you to do so. The purple squares I do love, because you can release them without being penalized. But the only thing about the purple squares is that means that it's a very slow call volume for you. So if you have purple squares, that means that you are getting like a call every 20 minutes or so. So definitely with the purple squares, if you're sitting there bored, twiddling your fingers, and your friend is like, hey, let's go to the mall, you can go ahead and release those squares, grab your purse or wallet, and head on out the door. Now, the orange square, that is what you will see whenever you swap any of your intervals. Your blue squares will automatically turn orange, or whatever color you want to call it. And then once someone actually selects those hours, they will turn green. That means that those hours are selected and you no longer have to work them. You are free to go and do whatever you want to do. Remember, if the squares never turn green and they stay orange, you are responsible to work those hours, or you will be penalized, meaning that your points will be taken off and your percentage will go down. And it could cause a breach in your SOW.